Priestess Jamila. Hello. All right, so I'm here to give you guys a reminder of the specials that I am running that you guys, I would appreciate it if y'all would come in. Um, once I move into my place, because once I move into my place, the sale is over. Okay. All sales and specials are over once I move into my place, and I won't be doing any more specials. Probably not until around October. So, sometimes when you're running a business, all businesses run sales for financial reasons, okay? All businesses, okay? And they run them at certain times for various reasons. And so for me, I am running this special because I am moving, because we're moving house. And honestly, I'm not going to come on here and say, well, I've already done this and done that, and because I even saw somebody talking about a deposit and first month's rent. Those are not typically things that people discuss. Like you guys do know that, moving can be somewhat expensive. Not really. It's not going to be very expensive. Hey, Talia's Jagged Teeth. Hello. Yes. Yes, you click the link tree, Talia's Jagged Teeth. Are you scheduling something? Are you going to schedule a reading? I know a lot of you guys like to donate. I like to do spiritual work. So if the spiritual work needs to be done, I'd like to do it. But yeah, Divine Services Apothecary definitely does take you to my link tree, which is what I'm using as my website. So yeah. I had no idea that you were looking for spiritual work. I hope that you schedule with me. That'll be interesting to meet you also. And trust me, your identity will be confidential. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, anywho, what was I talking about? So, yeah, I am running deep specials that I feel like you guys should get in on. Okay? Especially if you have multiple issues. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people do. A lot of people do have multiple issues. I meant to go and look. Thank you for the support that I got on the video that I did last night about listening to your spirit guides. And because I want to get people's opinion of that. Because since I've been in business, okay, and I've had a lot of different experiences with different clients, different energies, right? And we were talking about hoodoo using the Bible, okay? I want to know people's opinion of that because here's what I can tell you. If you've ever practiced hoodoo yourself or went to somebody that practiced hoodoo with the Bible, that is typically one of the questions that I'm going to ask you. And part of the reason why is because it's no shade to anybody that does the way that they do. It seems like there's usually a lot of chaotic energy around it. Like, not just chaotic, it's usually very negative, chaotic energy. And those have been some of my most difficult cases. Um, I don't practice that way. Not once have I ever done that. And I've gotten nothing but very good reviews on my work. But okay, so this is what I was going to talk about. I've worked with other cultures of people. I've actually had clients that were Asian. Am I using the correct lingo? Asian? Yeah. And y'all know that Asian people rarely do anything involving, like, Christianity and Catholicism, right? And those have been some of my easier cases. So there's a certain type of way that spiritual work has to be done. And, when you're doing witchcraft, hi, Cat's Eye fan. Cat's Eye fan, when you're doing spiritual work, the elements are going to be the basics, right? We know that air is air, fire is fire, water is water, earth is earth. So, and when you connect to that on a deeper level, like what I have, then you understand how that works. Of course, we do use and I love my goddesses. They have helped me tremendously. And then my planetary gods and goddesses, I love working that way. So it just, I don't know. Sorry about that. I'm not sure who that was. I just noticed that it's usually just very chaotic. And it's not to say that Christianity within itself is chaotic. I mean, I think that a lot of people do have to watch, like, maybe fellow Christians or Catholics that may be adversarial towards you. But, like, so I'm not saying that Christianity within itself because a lot of people don't conjure up those types of energies. They just kind of stick with the other stuff, right? But I think it's mixing the two together in a practice, not even a relationship, you know, not even your relationships. Yeah, because I'm not on camera. I'm not on camera. Trust me, you don't want to see me on camera right now. And then plus the phone is sitting like kind of next to me. It's sitting down. So, mhm. Yeah. So I don't know. I just noticed that the ones where, like, I've removed hoodoo curses, because please believe that that you can curse people with hoodoo. Absolutely. And they're usually very chaotic and very, very negative, to the point where here lately it hasn't really required ongoing work, because I work a lot with water and crystals. So, and right off the bat, oh yeah, this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. A lot of people 5 years ago was kind of freaked out on how much I charge for generational bloodline curse reversals, removals, okay? Why can't it be removed from everybody in the family? Maybe just your immediate family. It can be removed from. Hold on. I'm wondering if y'all can even still hear me because that phone call came in. Let me make sure y'all can still hear me. So here's what I do with every client now. And I've been doing it since kind of like the beginning of this year. If you're, because everybody doesn't have the funding to pay for generational curse removals. Everybody doesn't have the funding. What I've learned to do is to ward off. Hold on, I don't think y'all can hear me since that phone call came in. Give me a second. Let me make sure everybody can hear me. Okay, yeah, you guys can hear me. Okay. So I already have a ward just in general that I utilize even for your readings. When you guys come and get readings, in general, I have a ward for that, okay? However, when I do any spiritual work for any client, especially if you hire me, what I've noticed is that it's best to ward off generational curses because for some reason, generational curses come with what I call the watchers. And these are monitoring spirits, right? And so there's certain things that I've started utilizing to ward off those spirits that are watching. Because what I've noticed is that if somebody has a generation on them and we're not addressing it straight out, generational curses, being that they are connected to you at the level of a bloodline, if that generational curse is sane and trying to make sure that you don't get ahead, whether or not it's a generational curse that causes all the men to be single and hoes, right? Or if it's a generational curse that says you can't get married, or the women can't get married, or it's a generational curse that causes financial difficulty, right? Or just for your, financial dreams and goals and aspirations to not be fulfilled or met. So basically, that's what I do. And my wards are usually they're always, not usually, they're always extremely powerful. The way that I do my wards, like they really are, like seriously. So that's something that if you can't afford a generational curse reversal, then you can get a ward. The one thing that I'm gonna suggest that y'all ask about is, okay, a generational curse is separate from a hex or a vex or a jinx or just a curse that somebody put on you. That's separate. Generational curse is bloodline curse. But what you guys should ask me about, and one thing that I will say to you guys is, because it'll literally scream at me in the reading. It'll, like, spirit will let me know if it's something going on like that, and if that is the cause for your issues or for most of your issues that you're having. And so basically, ask me about, when you guys contact me about my generational curse warding. Okay, this is where you dissolve the energies, remove it, but you're just warding it. Of course, we have to reverse the negative effects of it, but that stuff also has to be warded off, like on every client, because a lot of you guys will come to me and you guys will say, well, I need love work, or I need money work. So I don't necessarily force people unless they're ready to take that road, because I do believe that if you're removing generational curses, that's gonna kick you into high gear of shadow work, right? So then you're gonna start shadow work, and shadow work can be very, very difficult for some people. Hey, listen, if y'all want me to do any work for on anybody, just contact me. Okay, contact me if you want to do that, because I'm taking funding from all sources. Seriously. But let me get back to my discussion. So ask me about warding off, because there is a way to ward it off. Okay? Especially if everybody else in the family, like I'm talking about cousins, aunts, uncles, if they are not on the same page as you are spiritually, right? So it's not that you necessarily have to hate your family or shun them or anything, even though some of you guys feel like you're the scapegoat, for everything, and that ain't right. You know what I mean? Like, but a lot of you guys feel that way. Ask about my ward and get one. Okay, get the warding work done, because at least you can ward it off until you're able to deal with it later. Now, some of like my wards always involve water. Okay, always. If I'm doing any kind of warding work, it's gonna involve water. Okay, um, so sometimes when I do a ward, it'll start having like a real stale smell, like that you can smell. Like if you just put your nose to it, you can smell it. So that means that there's something really, really bad, and then I have to redo the ward. So ask me about wards that I can make for you guys. Ask me about that, because that's actually discounted as well. Okay? And so that way you can do as much as possible for the dirt right now. Okay? And yeah. But if you guys want, yeah, like I'm not just gonna automatically, like, that would be something that you're asking about Harley. That would be something that she would have to ask me about if she wants that to happen. Otherwise, I'm not butting in, to other people's situation. I mind the business that pays me, Philly Hood. Okay. That's just like the situations that's happening with Savannah. I would love to be able to help her with that situation. And I've told her to contact me. Yes, I have. But it was only because I felt bad for seeing, like, and I don't want anybody to get mad at me, because I do not condone racism at all. I do not, and that's been something heavy. So I would never throw black people under the bus in that way. Okay. Okay. I would never do that. But to me, what it looks like is those guys in that group, like, they ain't right. Like, it's very weird. Like, my suggestion is to not get caught up in it at all. That's what I would say to anybody that is running into that situation. Okay. And so 13 years ago, when I first started dealing with those people on the internet, um, I wish that somebody would have told me that. Like, don't like, and because I think that when you argue with them and you kind of, huh? Did you call me? Really? And then that happened. Okay, yeah, I'm back. So, if somebody would have told me years ago, like, don't even get caught up in the drama because it distracts. But I can tell you that there is a lot that I know about that energy as far as with that group of people. There's a lot that I know that I can't discuss. Not at liberty to discuss it. What I know. Um, so and it's things that I've had to do for myself. Things that I've had to do for myself to protect myself and my loved ones because it's too much. So if y'all, I don't mind because I've been what the hell? I've been dealing with them for years and have never been compensated not one time for dealing with it. So that's something that I would have to be paid to do. Um, I don't even think Harley likes me. Hey, Stefan, happy Wednesday to you too. Hey, yeah, that's just like I was saying. They cause too much time wasted. It's a waste of time. It is. I do think that there are certain things that did need to be addressed about some of the people that are involved with that. For me personally, I've addressed it. Like all across the board, I have addressed it. Like every single thing that needed to be done has been done. Okay, there's still some things that I need to finish, but there's things that are in the workings because um these cicadas, y'all, those are cicadas I think that y'all are hearing. And they're one of them came and I took a picture of it, literally dropped itself on the porch and it's they're big and weird looking cicadas. Are so those are cicadas that y'all hearing. hmm So, but yeah, ask me about warding off, having a ward to ward off generational curses. Because I do one like I do it for each client, but it's nothing for me to make you one also for you to keep. Because it's a lot that's involved with that. It's a lot, and it really, really, really depends on your family lineage and their background. So having as much information as possible is important. Some of you guys that are coming from uh, adoption, or you don't know much about your family, or like you don't know your father, or you don't know your mother very well, spirit will definitely tell us and guide us on that. Like they'll tell us and guide us on what energies you're dealing with. I mean, you guys know the problems, you guys know the issues. Spirit pretty much tells us how to deal with it. And, you just have to have faith and believe in what you're doing. You know what I mean? I know that I 1,000,000% believe in everything that I do. And it's worked. Okay, it's worked for me for years. And I've upgraded and learned a lot of new stuff that has been very, very, very beneficial. So, just ask me about the wards and stuff because I can and I do spiritual wards for clients. And I do ship them. So that's why I'm excited about moving because I'll be able to ship because I'll have like my whole work area and everything. And, because, you know what I mean? And I got a shipping machine, like, that prints out. It doesn't require a printer or printer ink. It's like I got a shipping machine that just prints out shipping labels, like for USPS, FedEx, all of that. So, and I've got tons and tons of the printer paper that goes with that. And so I just ship it out to you. But the thing of it is about if I ship a ward to you, the way I would prefer to do it is to enchant like a small bottle with a screw cap on it with water, just to enchant that water for you to put inside of it, because I wouldn't want to be shipping liquids. No, that's not something that we're gonna do. It could possibly get broken or leak, and no. Okay, of course, when you're shipping anything that's glass, of course you're gonna have it wrapped up very well in bubble wrap to where it does not break. And then also you're going to mark it with fragile, right? You know what I mean? So that it's not being mishandled. But if it's got liquid inside of it, more than likely, so just a small little vial of water that's enchanted, and then you can just fill it up the rest of the way with your own water, because it is going to need to have water in it. So I will ship you guys wards, okay? So just ask me about that and we can negotiate a price. It depends on what it is. Because the materials that I use in my wards are not cheap. I don't use cheap materials. And I don't use herbs in my wards anymore because they can go bad. Herbs will start to mold. So I don't use herbs in them anymore. I use other stuff in my spiritual wards, okay? And they're not cheap. But, of course, I'm, running specials and stuff. So y'all just get at me, okay? It's a good time. I'm doing a moving sale. So if you guys need spiritual work, contact me, especially if you've been, guys, sometimes, listen, listen, I'm going to tell you something, okay? And I say this with love. I say this with love. There are a lot of people that can't admit when they've made some kind of mistake in judgment. They don't want to say that they made a mistake in doing something. If you guys have dealt with or done or worked with somebody that practiced hoodoo, okay, with the Bible, then you can definitely come to me for help with that, because what it's going to need is a removal of a chaotic, fighting, and war-like energies. You just have to admit to it. I was talking to somebody that just could not admit to that. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, so basically, okay, I'm going to give you an example of what my client would do. We would do something that would be traditional witchcraft, right? And the client would be in just a very serene and peaceful space. And, I check on the client. Client said to me, well, it doesn't last. And it would be like less than 2 weeks later. And I'm like, what are you doing? And so I discovered that's what the client was doing, because she does her own work, but she's doing hoodoo, which is also a closed religion. Hoodoo is a closed practice, okay? There are a lot of people that say, no, it's not. I can do whatever I want, which is fine. But I do believe in egregores and thought forms and gatekeeping and gatekeeping. Okay, which is where you're going to get attacked by monitoring spirits. That is something that anybody can do. So basically, I would get the client in a space to where the client could function. Literally, my client was so messed up, she couldn't even get up to do the dishes. She couldn't clean up a room. She couldn't organize. It was really bad. And so I would get her to a place where she could do that. And then a few weeks later, she would start tinkering around with hoodoo with the Bible. And then she'd be like, it came back. What do you mean it came back? You bought it back. You brought it back because you're getting spiritual work done that is effective. The work that I'm doing for you is effective because I'm a neutralizer. I'm a neutral party with that. That's the one thing about me. Sometimes you just have to have a neutralizer. That's just like when you have a chemical in your head from doing either a white people perm or a black people perm, and you use a neutralizing shampoo. Just think of High Priestess Jamila as a neutralizing shampoo. And so we've neutralized the situation, and then you go right back in and you add it. You're adding those energies back in. That's what you're doing. And a lot of people will probably, because I don't know what's going on with that. Like, I could not get through to that client. And I was just like, listen, whatever it is that you're doing in your own practice, I'm protecting and warding that off from me. That's all I know. Whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that other people are doing, whatever they're doing, all I know is that I don't want to have to. And see, when you're doing stuff like that, then you're leading to, your practitioner having to do things over and over again. So I do not utilize the Bible in my spiritual practice. I do not utilize Psalms. I write my own spells. I write my own petitions. And sometimes I type them. Sometimes it has to be that long. Sometimes it has to literally be like a thesis. Because there's so much. There's so much. But it's effective. And a lot of people will start to feel bad. Why are you feeling bad? Because you're feeling better and you're feeling good and you're getting things accomplished. A lot of people that were raised in a church will feel that way. I know I was raised in the Baptist church. I didn't feel that way. And I personally don't feel that, now some people would argue and say that the demiurge is actually the gods of the Bible or whatever. Listen, I don't get into that, whatever. All I know is that when I started doing what I was doing, started feeling better, doing better, I don't feel bad for that. Why are you feeling guilty? Because you're feeling good. And then a lot of you guys will be like, is this real? So the bad things that are happening and the bad feelings that you're having, that becomes a norm for you. That becomes real for you. The good things that start happening, like I've had clients that I've done work for that good things have happened. And they're just like, I can't believe that this is actually happening. And I'm like, what? Was you ready? And so that's when I did a working. And I literally did a stone working so clients can get adjusted to it. Like, it's like you've been in a bad place for so long, and you like even when you're having struggles, you should keep your head up, even when people around you are being negative, which can be very difficult, okay? Because, like I said, monitoring spirits, I know a lot about monitoring spirits, and I also know how to keep them out. And you have to ward off those monitoring because they will come in through various ways. Don't feel bad for doing good. I don't even think any God wants you to feel bad for doing good. Like, I've never been disturbed. Like, God hasn't ever said, you know what, I want to punish you because you're feeling good and doing good. I don't believe that that's what God wants. I don't. When we're talking about God, no. People want that. People want that. And then and they can conjure up spirits to do their bidding. People can create spirits. Spirits can be created. Egregores, servitors can be created. And these are the spirits that's being created that's like, no, I have denied you of this, and I am God. So, as a practitioner, I've ran into thousands of, probably millions of spirits at once that have told me that they are God. And it's like, well, I'm sitting here. I know what God feels like. I know what God sounds like. And that ain't feel like no God. Because God has always blessed me. I don't like that. That don't feel like no God right there. Like that seemed like something that might not be having your best interest at heart, baby. You know what I'm saying? So, and so it's and anybody else ever noticed that there are situations to where you feel like people are just trying to punish all the time. Life ain't supposed to be a punishment. Now, if okay, I do believe in past life regressions, okay? And so if it's something to where you feel like past life stuff is filtering into this life again, there is workings that I do for that, and you need to do warding for that. Like, warding needs to be done for that. In fact, that reminds me of something that I need to do, which I'm going to get off of here and get that done. You guys have to ward that energy off, okay? Or get rid of it or close the door. Like, but you have to find out if that's what it truly is. You know what I'm saying? Because I do help people with past life stuff, things that come in from the past life. Nobody should be sitting around for 5 or 10 years. And you guys know I work with Saturn a lot, and I work with the gods and spirits of Saturn, and they're like, they do have some kind of concept of time. And they're like, it's been eons. What is going on with this? Why is this still here? So you're not just supposed to be day after day after day after day after day just stuck in that. It's like, what is this? And it's like you're on a loop to loop. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that, trust me, that you're on a loop to loop. Like almost like Groundhog Day or something. You know what I'm saying? And you can't break it. It's like you can't break it. How do you break it? What do you do? Well, you know what? Something that I was too tired to come and talk to you guys about. Number one, the evil eye. Okay, the evil eye is one of the things that has people all messed up. There's something that I do to clear away the evil eye. Just recently, I started doing it, but Spirit said if we get an update, we'll let you know. This is what you do now, okay, that I can't even speak about publicly because it is privileged information. And the reason why it's privileged information is because somebody that's trying to do egregious harm to another person, I believe that people like that kind of deserve the evil eye, don't you think? Because we can decipher the difference between the troublemakers and the evildoers, and somebody that's just like, hey, why don't you just leave me alone? Why are you harassing me? Right? There is a difference. Okay. So that's why it's privileged information, because the evildoers, they don't need to know how to stop the evil that they need. Listen, evil people that are doing evil, no matter what religion they are, no matter what their spiritual belief is, if they are attacking an innocent person that has the will to survive and just wants to do what God wants us to do, which really, to be honest with you, God wants appreciation. God does not mind us building houses and putting pipes underground for the sewer system. You know, God wants us happy and joyful under the sun. That's a fact. God wants appreciation, you know, seriously. And that's a way of showing appreciation. You know what I mean? But the thing is that a really, really bad person that is doing a lot and they're causing a lot of problems, they don't need to know how to get rid of the evil eye, because the evil eye can also be used as a defense. So everything that we do. And then also another thing, one thing that I want to drive home for y'all is that if you have involved yourself in some type of evil doing, there is freedom from that. You don't have to suffer for that for the rest of your life. Start cleaning it up now. Start cleaning it up now. Nobody should, unless you have, murdered somebody or done something, that you now owe a debt to society or a debt to that person's ancestors or spirits. No matter what evil association or situation that you were involving yourself in, you can get yourself out of it. You just have to be honest, like, hey, I was involved in some stuff and I don't know what possessed me to do that, but I want freedom from that. I want liberation from that. I don't want to do that anymore. And there is a safe way of doing it. So that's another thing that I do, is I help people with stuff like that. So there's a variety of things that I do, um, whatever the situation is. Okay. And so, yeah, just visit divineservicesapothecary.com. I'm going to get out of here, y'all, because I got some work. I just reminded myself of some work that I need to get done. Okay. All right, y'all. I look forward to hearing from those of you that get in touch with me, and I appreciate you guys' support. I'll be back live on the main channel in a couple of days, so I'm happy that you guys were able to find me over here. Okay. All right, guys. Yeah, definitely when y'all, definitely ask me about how to stop and shut down monitoring spirits. I like I said, monitoring spirits goes along with the evil eye. Okay. So it's something that I don't just give away. If you're purchasing spiritual work, the work will be done for you to get rid of those monitoring spirits and evil eye, and you'll notice the difference right away. Okay. Just in how you feel, how you sleep, you know, um, makes a huge difference. Okay. In your life. All right, guys. I'll see y'all later. Bye.